Alright guys, I am on my way to pick up a hopefully newer 4,000 watt Onan generator. We had really considered the generator option when we bought our camper. It was around $3,000 to add a Onan generator, which we just couldn't justify for how little we would probably use it. But I had an excursion we would carry our dogs in, and that way they would be air conditioned in the cargo area in the back while we were going to or coming from a camping trip. The excursion had its issues, and I traded it in on this truck, which is a 2017 F350, because they don't make any SUVs that have that towing capacity anymore that the excursion used to. So we have a truck cap on the back we keep the dogs in, but they just get too hot on long trips. So that is the impetus for this purchase, is primarily being able to keep the air conditioning running while we're traveling, so that the dogs will have a nice cool environment where they won't get overheated while we travel. And it'll also be nice to be able to run the generator, cool the camper off before we arrive at our site, and it opens up the possibility of sort of boondocking some places and having power.
26 north
so I'm on my way to get it now. The guy said everything's in good working order. It was actually removed from a houseboat. So we'll see what happens when I go to get it. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the enclosure from our Onan quiet generator here, Microquiet. And the guy I got it from and mentioned it was missing a couple pieces, so I ended up taking this apart, and this is what I found. This piece right here was I'm trying not to lose these fasteners. This piece right here was broken, so I ended up buying a new one. Cummins, if you didn't know it, Cummins owns Onan, so you can find a lot of their parts. Here it is. So it fell out of the box there, but this is what it's apparently supposed to look like. And then that enclosure is supposed to sandwich one of these. This is a foam resonator. This is your generator air intake that keeps the generator cool. So basically this gets sandwiched in here, and I guess it's just supposed to filter that air that runs through the generator. It also is supposed to silence it somehow. Whatever. The important thing is that this little piece of plastic and that piece of foam together were almost $100. So it's nice that Cummins Onan has the parts availability to support their older products, but it is unfortunate that they are so expensive. We have our Wolfpack 25 pack 12 here. This camper is equipped with the Gen Prep package. It has the tin generator compartment. It has the plug, and then inside it has the generator controls. We have been using it for storage. And I also purchased this box of sound deadening material. Amazon Basics actually makes their own now. It had pretty good reviews. So you peel the backing off and you stick this stuff in, and that keeps the keeps your generator from resonating in the all that tin. So I'm going to clean the generator prep compartment out and line it with that Amazon Basics sound deadening before we install the generator. Alright guys, we're back here with our generator compartment. It's dark. We had a nice warm day today, so I started working on this, and I was just kind of finishing up now that the kids are in bed. But this is the Amazon Basics sound deadening. But anyway, I got the roof of the compartment done, and these back four walls. I had planned on putting some on the bottom, but Onan says specifically not to use this on the floor because they say it can get soaked with oil. And honestly, the floor is not as resonant as the rest of it is, but this is crazy. I mean, this stuff just like, it was like hitting a gong before. You can hear that. That's just completely acoustically dead now. And then we also ordered a, I could not find, let me walk over here. We got all kinds of projects going on at the moment. I could not find anywhere the inch, it measures out at like basically just over 1 inch. Could not find anywhere the tailpipe for this generator. So it comes out of the muffler right down here. It's tiny. So I ended up just buying this damn Onan one. It was like 60 bucks, and it's this. It's just this tiny little tailpipe. But it turns out you cannot buy anything smaller than 1.5 inch exhaust tubing at any of the stores here in my town. I went to every single one. I even looked on Summit Racing and stuff, and they don't sell it. But the nice part is it comes with a hanger and a clamp, everything else that you'll need to install it, which is nice. Especially since none of my part stores here apparently even sell stuff to go down that small. And I believe this measures inch and a quarter outer diameter, and then that muffler outlet is like 1 inch. So I have to finish putting that air filter on and put the replacement housing on the end of this, and then that thing will be ready to go in. So anyway, that's where that project stands. We're going to get back to work on that more this weekend and hopefully be able to get that done in a day. At least get the unit installed. I have to do that prep work to it first. All right, we're back again with the Onan generator install in our Wolfpack camper. We got our cabinet completely soundproofed. I lifted the generator up in here with the help of a loader, my little John Deere loader. I was kind of upset to learn that even though that cabinet's really tall, you cannot fit this shroud. You can't take it on and off with it in here. So you have to kind of like slide the whole thing forward and lean it against your waist while you pop the shroud off. If they would have made it just like another 1.5 inches, 2 inches taller, you could have slid it under there. But I guess, you know, you got the frame underneath and the bedroom over it, so I guess it is what it is. Not like you should have to take that off very often, but so anyway, I was just looking at our connections. This is your tiny fuel filter that's built into the Onan, and then it's got this brass bung threaded into that. If you can see, it's got like NICs on there. And then wanted to show you this. So we go underneath the camper, and right here, tucked in this great big loop, was like 10 feet of fuel line, which I think I have that recorded. I think you guys have already seen that. Our fuel hose is all coiled right here, right below the compartment. The larger one here is the vent, and the smaller one here, sorry, I'm shaking the camera, smaller one here, that's your fuel delivery line. So I cut that off so I could take a piece of it with me to the automotive store. I guess this is 5/16. It doesn't look quite big enough to be 3/8, but it's hard to tell. So I'm going to take a piece in and make sure I get the right bung and the right stuff to do it. And I went ahead and unclipped my zip tie that had that all zip tied up. I pushed it up over this frame rail, and as you can see, this is up here as your generator. This is the bottom of your generator compartment. So they gave you like lots and lots and lots of extra fuel line there. So the other thing I wanted to show you is there's a big gob of this expanding foam that's like blobbed up in here, and I just pulled it down so I was looking at it. But this is just where all of your wiring goes, and this is all your low voltage stuff. So you've got 5-pin relay, a couple fuses, 10 amp, 30 amp, so on and so forth. But the reason we're down here looking at this is because this is your power and ground from the battery, which is grounded right here to the frame, and your power terminal is right here, and they've actually got it bridged across to this. As you can see, this is a bus bar, and then it ties off here. So we don't need to go crazy running new battery wires, because we could use we can tap in right here. So we only need from right here to here, so probably 4 feet max, and get us by. And that will sort of, I think I can get 4-foot, maybe like 8-gauge leads. And that'll simplify that installation if I can get ones with pre-terminated ends. So that's pretty much all the connections we'll have to make down here. Our 110 volt is going to come down out of this as well, and it'll go, actually it'll go inside this compartment, so we'll just drill a hole in the back of the compartment for the 110. And I need to get some big grommets for that. So I'll show you that. Come on from underneath here. Oh, so here's just a little section I cut off. I'm going to take this brass bung off, take them both into the store, and get a flare fitting. A barb, sorry, not a flare, a barb fitting that'll fit that hose. And then our 110 is going to run through here because our transfer switch is right inside that compartment. And then we'll have to drill a hole in the floor for our fuel and our plus and minus 12 volts. So because we're running both fuel and electric today, we got to be doubly sure we get a nice grommet to put on that. And then this is our weather pack plug for our controls. So I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to grab some mounting bolts so we can screw it in place once we get it done. I'm going to grab a adapter for the hose line, some grommets, and some power leads, and then we should be able to get this thing in pretty quick. Very like famous last words, but we went over this. Everything else works. I have started it outside of the camper, so I know that it runs. The only thing that I need to do now is hook everything up. So fingers crossed, but we're getting there. All right, I just got back from the store. Ended up having to go to 3 stores to get what I needed. I was able to get the positive power cable from Tractor Supply, but they didn't have any negatives. AutoZone had the negative, or maybe that's Advance, I get them confused. Had the negative but no positive, so I went back to Tractor Supply to buy the positive. I got 3/4-inch grommets, which are big enough to run the fuel hose, the vapor return line, the 110, and those power cables through from Home Depot. I have an arbor, but I didn't have the inch and 1/8 hole saw for those grommets. Got that from Home Depot. And then at Tractor Supply I got mounting bolts, and I was also able to find this 5/16 to 1/4-inch MIP adapter, which is the right size for this little fuel filter fitting. So we're going to put some sealant tape on that and then thread that in. So that should be everything I need, short of making my splices inside this cabinet for my transfer switch. So with any luck, I could get this done today. Oh, and in case I didn't show this to you, this is your power input for the this is actually supposed to be split loom that goes over that wire, but this is your power input for the generator. This is your solenoid for the starter. So if you followed that wire through, you would see it comes around. But these are where our power terminals need to be for the generator. Here's your ground. Boom. So all we need are ring terminals to hook that up. And these are our power outlet. Those are going to go to the transfer switch. All right, I'm laying here underneath the camper. I've got my fuel feed and my vapor return threaded through a hole that I drilled, which I'll show you in a second. And my wife, my lovely assistant, is helping me pull this through. All right, pull. They're even now. All right, that's good. That should be good. All right, so that feeds everything up through. And then can you pass the red and the black wires through that other hole through a grommet? All right, so she's feeding me my red and black wires. My red only needs to go right here to this power bus, and my black needs fed down just enough to reach this ground, which is back in here. So that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. They're not the same length. That's fine. That's fine. So you could really ground this anywhere, but I like to go to the same ground that the factory used, which is right down here. Sorry about the strobe. But that just prevents any grounding issues. I'm not going to hook them up right now, as it's nighttime, as you can see. But anyway. And I went all the way back in this, and I found this, like, for lack of a better word, there's a wiring chase here that's lined with wood and plywood. So our fuel is going to come up through one, whoops, and our power is going to come up through the other. Because there's plywood on the other side of the steel, Like this one, the grommet just goes through because that's sheet metal. But this one, there's just plywood backed up to the sheet metal. So I trimmed the other flange, and I'm just gonna have to glue these in place in the hole. So before I try and feed grommets through the fuel lines, I'm gonna cut these off because we're only gonna need a couple feet. And the factory has given us like enough to reach the driver's seat of the truck, which I'm not really sure I understand, but I'm sure it made sense to someone at some point in time. Anyway, that will be a project for tomorrow once it's daylight out. For now, I'm going to go ahead and start getting things in case it rains tonight. But the Milwaukee 1 1/8 hole saw drill just about the right size hole for these. They call for a 1 1/16 drill bit, which doesn't exist, and a hole saw bit, which is what I wanted to use. So anyway, that's how they'll fit in there. Once they're glued in place, it'll look nice. It'll protect the wires from the sharp sheet metal edge. And I guess that's it for tonight. So we'll have our work cut out for us in the morning. All right, so here's one more thing I can show you tonight. This is the ventilation screen that is used for the generator to draw in fresh air. You can see there's a screen there, but I guess, I don't really know why, the factory backs it with solid plastic. So you have to remove it in order to get to the plastic. And I cut it so that I could fit a punch under it. And it looks like it is just pulling out for the most part. Looks like we're most of the way there now. There it goes. All right, so there's our plastic backing off. And now, with that closed, we'll be able to get lots and lots of fresh airflow to our generator. So I'd seen a lot of people with Onans, and they had I had seen a lot of people with Onans, and they had cutouts on the bottom of their floor for the generator to exhaust through, which I saw mentioned in the Onans manual. And if you look at the floor of this one, I'm going to tilt it up there a little. There's no openings here at all, just for the exhaust and the muffler. So there's no reason to cut anything out. The only thing I need to do is I do need to make a spot for that oil pan drain before I mount this in here forever. So I guess I'll do that. There is this big cutout here by the muffler, but maybe we'll just go ahead and cut that out, which I'll probably I'll just go ahead and mark that and cut it out, and then it'll be done. And we'll do that while we're marking and cutting out our oil drain. When I mount this thing in, I'll be done with it. All right, as you can see, I got that hole cut out under the muffler, and I just cut a nice big access hole for that drain plug. That way I won't have to mess with it. I made some progress. I thought I hit record. I was working on this at night, but it didn't record, or I deleted it. I can't tell which. The fuel connection's super easy. Your fuel hose connects to the fuel filter, like I showed you earlier. And then this one right here was capped off. This had a vacuum cap on it. This is your evap line that sucks the fuel vapors back out of your tank. That's why you have 2 lines on your gen prep package. If you don't have 2 lines on your gen prep package, you can consider that optional, but you may get a gas smell because that's venting your tank vapors. So you have to have some kind of vent back at your fuel tank area. We connected all of our lines. So we have a ground and a positive right here. These are 6 and 4 gauge because I couldn't find 2 4 gauge. It would have been my preference. Your positive power wire runs through this grommet right here where the fuel line runs in and connects right here to this side of the solenoid. Your ground is down here, but I didn't want to connect it like that. So to get to the inside of that terminal, you remove these 2 Torx and you take this off, and then you can access the nut that's on the back side of this, and that's where I ran my ground to. Your barb fuel line just hooks up to that fuel filter that I showed you earlier. And then the control wires, there's just this 4-wire clip, and the factory gave you all this wiring you can connect to. Now, I went ahead and made my exhaust connections. I showed you my cutouts, and I screwed this. These are self-tappers that I screwed into the side of the housing, making sure that there's nothing back here, which there's not. And then I just screwed them right down. This is tin, but it's backed by like 2x4s, so there's something solid to screw into, so that's not going anywhere. Now for the 110 volt power, the output of the generator, it comes up through these wires that were pre-attached to the Onan, and I put a junction box in here. And the reason I did that is the transfer switch wires are on the other side of this compartment, which I'll show you in 1 second. So if I need to remove this unit for servicing from this compartment, I wanted all my connections to be right here. I can disconnect my low voltage lines here, I can disconnect my control wires, and I can disconnect my high voltage right here at this little junction box, which is accessible. It's out, it's not hidden, you can't have those hidden. So that's all my connections made. Now the 110 volt lines, the reason I wanted that junction box here is you got to crawl all the way down in this compartment, and this box right there, that is where all your high voltage connections are made. So you can see that wire comes out of the split loom, comes out of the back of that. And, you know, I made a video of me down in here making those connections, and I'm sure it was boring anyway, but I'm kind of ticked off. It was super hot and super cramped. But there's 3 wires inside that box. You have your 3 wires that come out of your generator, your hot, neutral, and ground. So you just connect those, and it's color coded. It's very easy. So I'll show you how this works in just a second. It has stop, prime here, start, and all that. But I just wanted to show you all the connections that I made and how this was secured. So let's take a look at our exhaust. The exhaust situation down here. If we run that straight out, it's going to hit this tin. To be honest, we went out and bought all that junk, that might just be the best solution. If this will all fit in place. Let's see. I think this is how I ended up sneaking it in place yesterday. Yeah, sneak it on that way. Alright, so this is a situation. That's actually slipped on. I quickly clamp that. Come over here and look how high we are. We're hitting this wood. So we absolutely cannot do that. Alright, so we've shortened up our little Onan down tube. It'll be just off the frame rail once we get a hanger on it. We have cut down our 2 other bends. And I don't really like how low this is, but I don't really want to shorten any of these other pipes anymore. Alright, so trying to fabricate an exhaust for this thing was really hard. So this is the terminus of the Onan pipe that I ordered, that I showed earlier. And you can see right up here is where the generator muffler outlet is. And that's the little clamp that came with the hanger kit. But that would have dumped it straight into the side of this wood beam on this side of the I-beam. So that was no good. I've seen some people drill a hole in this, but that still puts that exhaust very close to this plastic and wood, which to me was not an option. So what I ended up doing, I could not find the right diameter exhaust anywhere. So I took the Onan in, and I found this. This is actually conduit from Home Depot. These are 90-degree conduit bends, and I bought 2 of those to come down and then this way, and I ended up having to cut them all down. As you can see, it doesn't exit at a right angle like I would like it to, but it's not the lowest thing on the camper, so I'm not too worried about it hitting. These clamps were useful in putting everything together, but now that it's all together, I could take it off and weld it up and get rid of these clamps. I really need to redo this hanger, and I definitely need to weld this, because as you can see, it's contacting that, so when it runs, it gives it a little bit of vibration. So maybe I could probably redo the hanger to hold that up off of it, but the muffler on this, it's almost like spring mounted, so it gives it all this motion. But this is actually I think the factory exhaust on that was 1 1/8, and then I want to say this is 1.5 inch outer diameter conduit, which would make it like, it might even be smaller than that. I'd have to check. I had a video, you know, of me putting this together, but somehow I cleared that memory card or something. I don't know what happened, but for now it's on there, and maybe welding that up may be like a winter project. I tend to do more fabrication in the winter. And then inside the camper, those 4 wires, they connect to this Onan control down here. And this gives you remote control, and it also has an hour meter, so you can start and stop it here. You can hear the transfer switch. The connections are in the compartment like I showed you. But the actual transfer switch is actually right here next to the panel. From what I can tell, that's where I hear it clicking and beeping when we start this. So anyway, I'll fire that up and you can hear it running. We'll try and power some things with it. There it goes. We'll open this up and you can hear it. It starts right up. Oops. So as you can hear, it starts right up. And we put this on here. And with everything closed, I mean, it's very quiet out here. So we're back inside the camper. What I'm gonna try and do is flip all my breakers off. I'll turn the lights on so you can see. Got some Barbie junk in the way. And okay, so we'll leave AC on. So we'll just go ahead and do water heater, refrigerator, oven, GFI. We might as well do the converter. We'll see if that thing will run the air conditioner. It just killed the generator. You can hear it. I don't understand that. Try this one more time. Tell from the lights dimming that it's pulling a lot of starting power off that battery. I don't know, that battery's the original battery. It's a 2017 camper, so just killed it. Okay, 1 2 3 push. 1 2 3 4 5. No, 1 2 3 4. Too high. Okay. Alright, the generator around again. We switched our AC to auto. And it must be trying to start because I hear the generator drawing down, but it's not even trying to start. Fridge goes right away. Cycling the AC on and off, and it's just not wanting to kick. I can hear it click, but it won't go. So we'll flip everything back on and we'll switch her back over to shore power. Oh, there it goes. I guess we'll see if it'll run that for a little bit now that it's running. It ran it for like 5 minutes last time and shut off. It does not run the AC. And I don't know why. I'm not happy about this. I am not happy about this. So at least the exhaust seems to work. It's nice and quiet. We're getting our stupid trouble code again, I assume. 1, 2, 3, yeah, it needs serviced. Okay, whatever. So we'll figure that out later, but that's the that's our install complete. And this baffle will fit in there like, oops, open, wiggle it down in. There we go. Close, close. That fits in there like that. And just like that, we will close the door on another installation. And I've got some troubleshooting and diagnostics to do on that, but I am completely beat. I am soaked in sweat. Although this has been a relatively simple install, it has been excruciatingly hot, and I felt like every little aspect of the install has fought me in one way or another. It is done, and I still don't have power, so trying to figure out that little bit with a transfer switch, because it doesn't have a transfer switch. It just has a box that says that's the generator hookups. But anyway, this is Drew Does Trucks. Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully it helps somebody, even though we're not up and running yet. Please like, share, subscribe, and I am out.